I prayed to God to save me from my sleep paralysis, until it carved its reply on my ceiling. My nonna Elodia used to say that the devil envies our sleep because it's the closest we get to the peace of heaven without dying first. She'd say it while running her thumb over the worn olive wood beads of her rosary, the one her father brought back from the old country. She gave it to me on my 16th birthday. It's been on my nightstand ever since. For her, faith wasn't just a Sunday morning affair. It was armor. It was the scent of frankincense in the hall, the quiet murmur of prayer before a meal, the litany of saints she recited to ward off a chill. I inherited that from her. Faith was my bedrock. It was the wall I built against the things that lurked in the dark corners of my imagination, the things whispered about in the book of Revelation that used to give me night terrors as a kid. But walls can crumble. It started subtly. A nightmare here and there, darker than usual. The kind where you're falling through an endless, suffocating blackness, and the only sound is a laugh that seems to be coming from inside your own skull. Then came the paralysis. The first time it happened, I woke up, but my body didn't. My eyes were open. I could see the faint moonlight striping the blinds on my window, but I couldn't move a muscle. I couldn't even twitch a finger. My breath was a shallow, panicked thing I had no control over. A weight, immense and cold, pressed down on my chest, pinning me to the mattress. From the corner of my room, where the shadows were deepest, a figure began to resolve itself from the gloom. It was tall and stooped, like an old man with a broken back. It had no face, just a suggestion of a head tilted at an unnatural angle. It didn't move, it just stood there, watching. The air grew thick with a smell I knew, but couldn't place. It was cloying and sweet, like gardenias left in a vase for too long, their petals browning at the edges. Rotting flowers. All I could do was lie there, a prisoner in my own skin, and stare back at the thing in the corner. My mind was screaming, clawing at the inside of my skull, trying to form the words of a prayer, any prayer. But nothing came out. The terror was a gag in my mouth. Just when I thought my heart would explode, I heard it. Faintly at first, then clearer. A sound like a church bell, pure and clean, ringing once. The pressure on my chest vanished. The stooped figure dissolved back into the shadows. I gasped, and my body was my own again. It happened again the next night. And the night after that. Always at 4:30 in the morning. I'd know because my digital alarm clock would be staring right at me, its red numbers burning into the dark. 4:30. Every single time. The experience started to change, to get worse. The faceless man was soon joined by smaller things, skittering shadows that moved just at the edge of my vision, their presence a frantic, nervous energy in the room. I'd feel cold, needle-like fingers tugging at my blankets, pulling at my arms and legs. I'd hear whispers, like dry leaves skittering across pavement, just too low to understand. The stench of rotting gardenias became so strong it made my eyes water. But the bell would always save me. That single, clear tone would cut through the chaos and set me free. I'd leap out of bed, heart hammering, and snatch the olive wood rosary from my nightstand. I'd clutch it until my knuckles were white, praying until the sun came up, my voice hoarse and desperate. I was falling apart. Sleep became the enemy. I'd chug coffee and energy drinks trying to stay awake, anything to avoid that 4:30 appointment. But it didn't matter. Whether I fell asleep at 10 p.m. or 4 a.m., I would wake up, paralyzed, at 4:30 on the dot. Dark circles bruised the skin under my eyes. I was jumpy, irritable. I was a ghost haunting my own life. My faith was a shield, but it was cracking. Hope was leaking out. One night, I'd had enough. I was tired of being the victim, tired of being terrorized in my own bed. I decided I was going to fight. This was my room, my soul. I was going to take it back. I went to bed with Nonna's rosary wrapped tight around my right fist. I placed my heavy, leather-bound Bible on my chest, my armor, my weapons. As I drifted off, I recited the prayer my nonna taught me as a child, the one for protection through the night. I fell asleep with the holy words on my lips. I woke to the familiar prison of my own body. The clock read 4:30. But this time was different. The pressure on my chest wasn't just a weight, it was a living, malevolent force, crushing the air from my lungs. The smell of decay was suffocating, so thick I could taste it. And the figure was no longer in the corner. It was leaning over me, its faceless head just inches from mine, a void in the shape of a man. The whispering wasn't at the edges anymore. It was a chorus of 1,000 voices, a dry, insectile hiss, speaking directly to my ear. And it was reciting my nonna's prayer. The sacred words were twisted, inverted, a hateful mockery. What was meant for comfort was now a curse. If I should die before I wake, the voices hissed, I pray the Lord my soul to take. But the way they said it wasn't a plea. It was a promise. I felt a tearing sensation, as if my ribs were being pried apart from the inside. A searing heat flooded my body. I fought. I poured every ounce of my will, every shred of my faith, into one single goal: to scream the real prayer. To drown out their blasphemy with God's truth. I waited for the bell. I prayed for it, but it never came. There was only the hissing, the pressure, the pain. My throat worked, raw and desperate. I squeezed my eyes shut and pushed with everything I had. A sound tore from my lips, a ragged, guttural scream. And then, silence. I shot up in bed, my own scream still ringing in my ears. I was drenched in sweat, my whole body trembling. I looked at the clock. 4:31. The rosary was still in my hand, the cross pressed so hard into my palm it left a deep, red imprint. I fell back against the pillows, sobbing, gasping for air, clutching the beads like a lifeline. I prayed until my throat was raw, and eventually exhaustion took me under. I woke to the gentle morning light and the sound of birds singing outside. For a moment, it felt like it was all just a dream, a horrifying, vivid dream. Then I sat up. The olive wood rosary lay on the floor, not in one piece, but shattered. The wooden beads were scattered across the carpet like tiny dead beetles, the cord snapped in multiple places. My Bible was lying open beside me. The pages had been methodically torn out, but not all of them, only the Psalms. My book of comfort, of praise, of protection. They were arranged on the floor at the foot of my bed in a sickening, deliberate spiral. My blood ran cold. I slowly, shakily, lifted my gaze from the floor to the ceiling above my bed. There, written in a fine, greasy black soot that seemed to defy gravity, were 3 words that broke my world. 3 words that told me my faith hadn't failed me. It had been answered. You prayed to me.